Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we'll be discussing experimental studies, one of the most important analytical study designs in epidemiology and community medicine. Unlike observational studies, where the researcher simply observes what happens, experimental studies involve the investigator actively introducing an intervention and evaluating its effect on health outcomes. By the end of this video, you'll understand the aims of experimental studies, the different types, the steps involved in conducting a randomized controlled trial, its various designs, and the major types of RCTs. So let's get started. Experimental studies are research designs in which the investigator deliberately introduces an intervention such as a drug, vaccine, surgical procedure, health education program, or healthcare service, and then observes its effect on the outcome. These studies have two major aims. The first is to establish a cause and effect relationship, providing scientific evidence that a particular intervention is responsible for the observed outcome. The second is to evaluate the effectiveness and efficiency of health services and preventive or therapeutic interventions. Experimental studies can broadly be classified into animal studies and human studies. Human experimental studies are further divided into randomized controlled trials, commonly known as RCTs, and non-randomized trials, also called quasi-experimental studies. Randomized controlled trials are considered the gold standard because participants are assigned randomly, minimizing bias and improving comparability. When randomization is not possible due to ethical, administrative, or practical reason, non-randomized trials become the preferred alternative. Let's now look at non-randomized trials. These studies involve an intervention, but participants are not randomly assigned to study groups. Because of this, the chances of selection bias and confounding are greater than in randomized trials. There are several types of non-randomized trials. Uncontrolled trials do not have a comparison group and are mainly used during the early evaluation of new therapies or for identifying adverse effects. Natural experiments utilize naturally occurring groups such as smokers versus non-smokers or migrants versus non-migrants, where the investigator does not assign exposure in before and after comparison studies without a control group. The same group is evaluated before and after an intervention. In before and after comparison studies with a control group, outcomes are compared with another similar population that did not receive the intervention, making the findings more reliable. Other quasi-experimental designs, including interrupted time series studies, are also useful when conducting a randomized trial is not feasible. Among all experimental studies, the randomized controlled trial or RCT is considered the most reliable design for evaluating interventions. An RCT is an epidemiological experiment in which eligible participants are randomly allocated into intervention and control groups. The intervention group receives the treatment or preventive measure under investigation, while the control group receives either standard treatment, placebo, or no intervention. The outcomes of these two groups are then compared. Randomization is the key strength of RCTs because it ensures that every participant has an equal chance of entering either group, thereby minimizing bias and balancing known as well as unknown confounding factors. Conducting a randomized controlled trial involves 6 important steps: drawing up a protocol, selecting the study population, randomization, intervention, follow-up, and assessment of outcome. Everything begins with a well-prepared protocol. The protocol serves as the blueprint of the study and includes the rationale, objectives, study design, ethical considerations, documentation, and detailed procedures to be followed throughout the trial. A carefully designed protocol ensures consistency and improves the quality of the research. The next step is selecting the study population. First, the reference population is identified. This represents the larger population to whom the results will eventually be applied. From this, the experimental population is selected. These are the actual participants who satisfy the eligibility criteria and provide informed consent to participate in the study. Proper selection of participants is essential to ensure that the study findings are both valid and generalizable. Once the participants are selected, The next step is randomization. Randomization allocates participants into intervention and control groups purely by chance. This improves comparability between groups and minimizes selection bias. The fourth step is intervention or manipulation. Here, the planned intervention such as a drug, vaccine, surgical procedure or behavioral modification is administered according to the study protocol. After the intervention, both groups enter the follow-up phase. Participants are monitored over a specified period using identical methods to record outcomes while minimizing losses due to attrition. Finally comes the assessment of outcome. Researchers compare the intervention and control groups to determine whether the intervention has reduced disease, improved health, or produced any adverse effects. The results obtained from this final step provide evidence regarding the effectiveness and safety of the intervention. Randomized controlled trials can also be classified according to their study design. The most common is the parallel design, where participants remain in either the intervention group or the control group throughout the study. In a crossover design, participants receive both treatments sequentially, separated by a washout period to eliminate the effect of the previous intervention. A factorial design allows investigators to evaluate two or more interventions simultaneously within the same study population, making research more efficient. Blinding is another important feature of RCTs. Depending on who remains unaware of the treatment allocation, trials may be single blind, double blind, or triple blind. Blinding helps reduce observer and participant bias, improving the credibility of the findings. Randomized controlled trials can also be classified according to their purpose. Clinical trials evaluate therapeutic interventions or new treatment modalities in patients. Preventive trials assess interventions that prevent disease such as vaccines or chemoprophylaxis. Risk factor trials focus on modifying risk factors before disease develops. Cessation experiments evaluate the benefits of stopping harmful habits such as tobacco or alcohol use. Trials of etiological agents are conducted to confirm or refute hypotheses regarding disease causation. Finally, evaluation of health services assesses the effectiveness, efficiency, and quality of healthcare delivery system. Although these trials differ in their objectives, they all rely on randomization to generate high-quality scientific evidence. To summarize, experimental studies involve the deliberate introduction of an intervention to evaluate its effect on health outcomes. They are broadly classified into randomized controlled trials and non-randomized trials. Non-randomized trials are valuable when randomization is not possible, whereas randomized controlled trials remain the gold standard for establishing causality and evaluating interventions. An RCT follows 6 systematic steps: preparing the protocol, selecting participant, randomization, intervention, follow-up, and outcome assessment. RCTs can be conducted using different study designs such as parallel, crossover, factorial, and blinded designs, and they serve various purposes including clinical trials, preventive trials, risk factor trials, cessation experiments, trials of etiological agents, and evaluation of health services. Understanding these concepts forms the foundation for evidence-based medicine and public health research. If this helped you understand experimental studies more clearly, hit like, subscribe for more easy to understand public health and epidemiology videos, and leave a comment telling me which epidemiological study design you'd like me to explain next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.